Dr. David Jockers, and today we are talking about 21st century weight loss tips and strategies. In the 20th century, when we thought about weight loss, we thought weight loss was about calories in versus calories out, meaning that the more calories we burned through exercise versus calories we took in through food, that we would lose weight. And what we found was that actually worked, but it wasn't sustainable, right? It wasn't something we could really do long term, and it caused a lot of delirious health effects. And on top of that, it also caused poor quality of life, people with hunger and sugar cravings and all different types, a lot of issues mentally with our emotions. And it was just a tremendous issue. And what we've known is that science has really caught up with us and shown that it's really weight loss is about hormones. And if we can balance our hormones, particularly insulin and growth hormone, we're going to be able to burn fat for fuel. We're going to be able to help support a healthy physique, look great, and have great mental performance, mental clarity. We're not going to have the sugar cravings. We're going to feel really good and have lots of energy. And that's what I'm going to dive into in this presentation, is really show you how to balance out your hormones so you can take on your optimal physique and feel great doing it. And so as we jump into this, if you don't know me, my name's Dr. David Jockers. I'm a doctor of natural medicine. I live just outside the Atlanta area, and I have a clinic called Exodus Health Center. I speak all around the country and on a number of different health topics, including brain health, weight loss, energy, ketogenic diet. This is my beautiful wife, Angel, my little boys, David and Joshua. And again, we have a clinic called Exodus Health Center right outside of Atlanta in the Cobb County area. And so this right here is a picture of what my typical breakfast would look like growing up. So my mom was very health conscious, and so she wouldn't let me get what I wanted, which was a really super sugary breakfast. So instead, we got the Cheerios. Cheerios are American Heart Association approved. It says low cholesterol, low fat. It says it's made out of oats, and we thought oats were really, really healthy. And of course, we would put some sort of a low-fat milk on there, typically either organic skim milk, or we would use something like soy milk. And oftentimes we'd have flavored soy milk because it tasted good. We'd also have fruit on there, bananas or maybe berries, and we'd have a cup of orange juice. And I would have this as my breakfast and thinking this is a really healthy breakfast. But then 2 to 3 hours later, when I'm in school, I would feel absolutely exhausted and like I needed to take a nap. And so why was that? Because my blood sugar was all over the place, and I'm going to go through exactly why. But in general, this is a low-fat, high carbohydrate meal right here that really just spiked my blood sugar and caused inflammation in my body. And so really when we eat things that break down into sugar, and I know we don't think of oats as something as sugar necessarily, but what we know is that that's sort of a grain. When our body metabolizes it, it turns into sugar. And when that happens, it boosts up certain neurotransmitters like dopamine, and we feel good, right? When we eat sugar, we feel good initially. We get this hit of dopamine, much like a drug does, right? It hits that dopamine, blood sugar goes up, but then this hormone insulin comes out. And insulin's job is to take sugar out of the bloodstream and put it into the cells. So it starts to do that, and it lowers blood sugar. And oftentimes it'll lower blood sugar really, really fast. And so what happens there is now blood sugar drops, our neurotransmitters drop. Our body will actually, insulin's a storage hormone, so it will start to create fat storage. And now we feel really hungry and we've got cravings. Okay. And for many people, even if they've got a lot of body fat on them, they still have cravings. Their body's still hungry, even though they've got all this excess fuel storage, energy storage sitting on them in the form of stored body fat. They can't use it. They're not in fat burning mode. They're in sugar burning, sugar craving mode. We've got to break that cycle. That's what I'm going to go through in this presentation. So we know that when we eat carbohydrate, okay, this hormone insulin comes out because its job is to take sugar out of the bloodstream and put it into the cells so it can be used for energy. Okay, and so insulin comes out. In the presence of insulin, when insulin is elevated, it's going to cause storage. It's going to cause us to store fat, whether it's from carbohydrates or from fat that we're taking in that meal. I mean, think about ice cream, for example. Ice cream is a high carbohydrate, right? A lot of sugar and a lot of fat, and typically the wrong type of fat, the kind of fat we don't necessarily recommend from commercially raised animal products. Now, you can get a sugar-free or organic coconut milk from organic grass-fed cows, right? And that would be a lot better. Or even coconut milk ice cream that won't turn into body fat, but your typical, ice cream that's out there, your Breyers, let's say, typical traditional ice cream is high in sugar, high in fat, and that's going to cause this fat storage, this issue with fat storage. And what happens here is also on top of that is we get this massive increase in sugar. If you look at the chart on the right, then we get this massive increase in insulin. That right there is going to cause inflammation and fat storage in the body because insulin is a storage hormone. It's also pro-inflammatory, meaning that it's going to promote inflammation. On top of that, for many individuals, they're going to overshoot the insulin and their body's going to be responsive, overly responsive to it. And now the sugar is going to drop way low. And now we're going to end up with something called reactive hypoglycemia, where the sugar drops too low. And now we start having a lot of symptoms: hunger, energy loss, cravings, anxiety, irritability, right? Different issues like that come with reactive hypoglycemia. Big time problem right here. Okay. Major, major issue. When we eat some food, let's say, we've got a recipe for a sugar-free coconut milk ice cream instead, right? You make that recipe, you eat it, you're naturally going to have a little bit of an elevation of blood sugar. Naturally, it happens when we eat food, and naturally a little bit of an elevation of insulin. But that sugar should drop, right, as you can see, and balance itself out, certainly within, for sure within 3 hours, ideally even lower than that. Sometimes within an hour or two, it will balance itself out if somebody's very insulin sensitive. And again, high insulin is going to cause more fat storage, more inflammation in the body. So we want to keep that insulin under control. We also have to keep the blood sugar under control because if blood sugar is real high, it's going to cause insulin resistance. It's going to cause inflammation in the body and a lot of destructive effects. So very important that we look more like the chart on the left than our chart on the right when we're consuming our meals. One way we do that is by creating an alternative fuel source, one called ketones that our body can use. See, when we eat a high carbohydrate meal like a loaf of bread or a bowl of Cheerios, for example, our blood sugar goes way up. If blood sugar stays elevated for a long period of time, it's toxic, neurotoxic. This is why people with type 2 diabetes who can't control their blood sugar because they're so insulin resistant will oftentimes end up with things like peripheral neuropathy and optic neuritis because literally the sugar is burning out their nerves. And so insulin gets the sugar out of the bloodstream so it can't damage the cells and brings it into the cell so it can be used for energy. And so when we're doing this, when we're eating these carbohydrates, we're going to naturally have high insulin and we're going to be in sugar burning mode. That's how we're going to be out producing most of our energy, is through burning glucose or sugar. When we're on a ketogenic diet, it is a high good fat, moderate protein, low carbohydrate diet. And so what happens there, because it's so low carb, glucose is going to drop. So blood sugar drops. The body says, hey, I can't depend on sugar as my energy source. I need to start breaking down stored body fat. And I'm going to use the fat that I'm consuming in my diet as energy. So it starts to do that. It creates this product called ketones in the liver, right? So it breaks that down. Form called ketones, which now the body can use because ketones can cross through the cell membrane, through the mitochondria, and be used as energy. So we want to be able to have the flexibility to use glucose or ketones, and primarily ketones are major energy source. Okay, so when we have very low insulin, right? It's not that we're going to have no insulin, but if we have very, very low insulin levels by eating a high fat, low carb diet, then what happens? Right, where our body is going to insulin tells us to store and to maintain body fat. When insulin drops, we start to break down body fat in order to produce energy. And that's important to remember. And so if we're on a low fat diet, right, like I was growing up, like most people think when, they start a program of weight loss, then we're going to end up, instead of the fat, we're going to be getting our calories typically from carbohydrates, and sometimes it's a high protein diet. Either way, high protein is definitely going to be better than high carb, but either way, we're going to not really create the level of insulin sensitivity that we want. So we're not going to have really good hormone function. We're going to have more inflammation, and inflammation is going to lead to weight loss resistance, where we feel like, hey, we're trying to follow a healthy diet, we're trying to exercise, but we can't seem to lose the weight. This is a condition called weight loss resistance. It's due to inflammation. We've got to address the underlying inflammation. So a low carb, high good fat diet is going to create more healthy blood sugar balance, improve insulin sensitivity. It's also going to help improve growth hormone function, create an anti-inflammatory process in our body, and lead to weight loss. So 3 big steps to applying some sort of an anti-inflammatory healing diet. Number 1, we want to reduce sugar and grains, right? Sugar and things that turn into sugar are going to cause inflammation in the body. They're going to damage our organs, damage our tissues, cause more pain, leaky gut, different things like that. So we're going to take out the Cheerios, take out the grains, take out even a lot of the fruit. We want to take that out. Anything that turns into sugar, we've got to take that out. We want to get rid of bad fats. And I'm going to go through a list of bad fats, but really processed vegetable oils. We want to add in the really good healthy fats like avocados and olive oil and coconut products, and use that as our main source of fuel. And we want to change the meat that we want to eat. We want to get rid of the grain-fed, commercially raised, and really be focusing on grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised animal products. So if we break this into like a food guide pyramid, you can see at the bottom where we're going to get most of our calories is going to be coming from these healthy fat sources. So avocados, grass-fed butter, coconut products, things like that. This is where we want to get most of our calories. That should be in every single meal, 1 or more of these healthy fats. We want to make sure that we're getting good anti-inflammatory, antioxidant-rich vegetables and herbs, maybe some low glycemic fruit like maybe a tiny bit of berries and lemons and limes, things like that. And then we want clean protein, not too much of it, but we do want some good, healthy, grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised animal products, some healthy nuts and seeds, things like chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, not in abundance, okay, because they can cause problems with the gut. But we do want to have some of these in our diet because they're a really good source of fiber, as well as healthy fats that are in those. And we want fermented foods, things like pickles and kimchi and sauerkraut, which are really good for our microbiome and typically are very low carb, and natural sweetening agents. My favorite natural sweeteners are stevia and monk fruit. They're the best on the microbiome, anti-inflammatory, really good for the body. And you can see some of the recipes that we have on drjockers.com, like our chocolate coconut cream cups, our vanilla coconut ice cream, and our lemon coconut cookies here, all very low carb. They're all going to help balance out your blood sugar and help your body use ketones for fuel. So 5 benefits of a healing diet. When we start to, reduce the carbs, get these fats up, it reduces inflammation in our body, helps balance and stabilize out our blood sugar, reduces our body's overall toxic load, and provides key foundational nutrients. So toxins, we store those in our body fat. So the better we get at burning our own stored body fat, the more we're ridding or reducing our toxic load. And a lot of key nutrients we need to support the systems of our body are found in our fat-soluble nutrients like vitamin A, E, vitamin D, vitamin K, carotenoid antioxidants, right? And we find these in things like avocados and olive oil and stuff like that. So getting these really good fats provides foundational nutrients. Getting antioxidant-rich herbs and vegetables, can provide the key minerals that we need and all the other essential nutrients. We provide those, and then it supports a healthy blood pH, because we know when we're burning sugar as our primary fuel, we're going to produce a lot of lactic acid. In order to buffer that acid, we're going to strip minerals from our major tissues. Okay, and so when we're on a low carb, high good fat diet, we reduce the amount of lactic acid we produce, and therefore less buffering agents are needed. And so we maintain a really healthy blood tissue pH. So very, very key. Now, 10 best fat burning foods. So some of my favorites: coconut products, coconut milk, coconut oil, coconut butter, grass-fed, pasture-raised animal products, apple cider vinegar, lemon lime, grass-fed raw dairy can be really good, like grass-fed raw cheese or grass-fed butter. Really good if you're able to handle, you don't have an intolerance or sensitivity to dairy. Chia seeds and pumpkin seeds are really good. Flax seeds, hemp seeds, all really good. So super seeds. Avocados, one of the best fat burning foods. Organic pasture raised eggs, and then healthy, high quality protein powders. I'm a huge fan of our bone broth protein. This is what I use regularly. Really good for the gut, lots of collagen protein in there, really good for liver function, very good for helping our body to burn fat, supporting healthy joints, healthy skin, healthy hair, and healthy gut lining, reducing inflammation in our body. So it tastes great. We got chocolate, vanilla, banana, lots of great flavors in there that you can choose from and make protein shakes with. And then fats and oils. So when we look at this list right here, the ones we really want to avoid are going to be our processed vegetable oils. And you can see that these unsaturated, like canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, stuff like that. These things are really prone to oxidation. And so we've got to avoid those. We also want to avoid man-made fats like hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated fats, because those are really toxic and damaging to our body. They promote inflammation. Now, what do we want to use? We want to use a lot of saturated fat, believe it or not. Why? Because saturated fat is a very stable fat, so it's not going to oxidize as easily as unsaturated fats. That's important because it's really the oxidation of fats that causes inflammation and can damage our arteries, for example. Okay, so saturated fats do not cause the oxidation, and that's really what we want to use when we cook. Coconut oil, palm oil, grass-fed butter, things like that. Those are the best oils to cook with. I personally use coconut oil when we cook, but MCT oil is also another good one, which is derived from coconut and palm oil and turns into ketones quickly. That's another really good one. Unsaturated fats. These are fats that we want to use in more of a room temperature, raw state, not cooked. That's going to be olive oil, olives, avocado oil, avocados in general, nuts and seeds. Those are going to be those types of fats we don't want to cook with, okay, but we do want to use in more of a raw state because they're rich in antioxidants and have good fatty acid balances. Okay, so one of the common things that I get is people are trying to lose weight, but they have issues with their gallbladder, okay? And so they're like, hey, I can't handle all the fat because of my gallbladder. Well, here are some strategies to take. And I do have another article and video on how to follow a ketogenic diet without a gallbladder, so definitely check that out. But use some good, really good biohealthy foods. It's gonna be things like celery, cucumbers, lemons and limes, bitter herbs like cilantro and dandelion and ginger and parsley, really good for supporting healthy bile flow. You know, drinking things like ginger and dandelion tea, really good idea. Lots of hydration, staying well hydrated, so important for thinning out that bile and keeping it moving. We want to support our stomach acid levels. You know, the better our stomach acid, the better our bile. So support stomach acid levels. And I do have another video on that as well as articles on drjockers.com. So check that out. Taking extra digestive enzymes, so sometimes ox bile can be really helpful. I know we have something called Biogest that we'll use with people that have gallbladder issues, and it really supports stomach acid, digestive enzymes, and ox bile. Has some ox bile in there, so the person can emulsify and digest fats more effectively. You want to not consume excessive amounts of long chain fats. It's going to be like a lot of avocados in one sitting or olive oil in one sitting. Instead, you want to focus on like coconut oil and MCT oil, particularly MCT oil, because that you do not need bile in order to metabolize MCT oil. Your body is able to break that down, emulsify it on its own with digestive enzymes. So that can be also really, really good one to utilize because, again, less strain on the liver and the gallbladder. So very important. Now, another thing that's going to really help both stomach acid and bile and just really help your metabolism in general is using apple cider vinegar. And here are 4 great ways to use it. Putting it on food. So I put it on meat and vegetables. Why? Because the acids in there, the enzymes, help pre-metabolize the meat and the vegetables, making it more bioavailable for our body. So our body's going to be able to break it down and digest it more effectively. You want to be able to drink it before meals, right? So having a shot of apple cider vinegar and some water 15 minutes before a meal is going to help stimulate the digestive juice production so you can digest and assimilate your food more effectively. You can put it in things like soups and stews. Going to help break those things down so you can digest it better. And also drinking a morning primer can really, really help with your energy levels and your metabolism and help with blood sugar stability. In fact, we know that drinking apple cider vinegar before a meal reduces the glycemic impact, the speed of sugar breakdown, glucose impact on your system by 40%. So it plays a really, really big role. And so here we go. Here's some great recipes. You can get flavored stevia, sweet leaf flavored stevia, and you just put it in with some water and some apple cider vinegar, and here you go. Cinnamon apple, 1 to 2 teaspoons. You can see the recipes there. Cranberry lemon, a tiny bit of cranberry juice in there, which is very good for the kidneys, very low sugar. And then you add in the lemon flavored stevia, and that works great. And then grape apple right here, 1 to 2 tablespoons apple cider vinegar, some grape flavored stevia, some really good flavors and ways to take apple cider vinegar without gagging. So there you go. Now, to be successful in general, you need to apply these 3 Ps. You got to plan your shopping and meals in advance. You need to prepare your meals and snacks in advance. I think, all of us have been in the place where it's like we had a long distance between meals, and all of a sudden we, smelled things that really weren't part of our nutrition plan that triggered cravings. Okay. So we got to really have a game plan and prepare things in advance, and then protect our home from sugar sources. You got to stay away from, you can't have high carb foods in your home and expect to really follow a low carb, high good fat diet. You got to protect your home. Once you leave your home, you don't have control over the environment. So you're going to be more susceptible to consuming things or being tempted by things that, aren't going to be good for your blood sugar. But in your home, you control that environment. So keep it pure, and only have the foods that you need to really thrive. Okay, so let's break this down into a meal plan. When it comes to fat burning, I'm a huge fan of doing intermittent fasting, or doing some sort of like a fat burning coffee or fat burning drink in the morning. So you can see our turmeric fat burning coffee here on the bottom right. It's a great recipe on drjockers.com. We've got our keto matcha green tea, which, if you don't do coffee, you could do a matcha green tea, which is loaded with antioxidants. And both coffee and this green tea have chlorogenic acid and caffeic acid, which are powerful antioxidants that help support blood sugar stability and help with metabolism. So, doing one of those can be great. And, if you can't do green tea or coffee, we also have a dandelion tea. And this is actually, this bottom left one is a recipe. It's a coconut dandelion tea. And we use coconut milk in there. And basically, it's a fat burning. It's just good fats, no protein, no carbohydrates, flavored with stevia. And these drinks are awesome. And then stay really well hydrated in the mornings. That's super key. And then for lunch, you do a big salad with avocado chunks, olives, maybe a half can of wild caught salmon. Excuse me. So for a little bit of protein, or maybe some sardines or chicken or something like that. Some fresh squeezed lemon, olive oil on top. Or you could just do like some snacks type stuff, like some paleo crackers or homemade keto crackers that we have in our ketogenic program and on our website, drjockers.com. You do veggies, low carb veggies like cucumbers, celery, bell peppers, and guacamole. Make a really good guacamole. And it's low carb, high good fat, because the guacamole, you want to really use a lot of that because that's loaded with good fats. Or you could do one of my favorites, chocolate avocado pudding, or some sort of like another pudding that you could do with protein powder along with avocado and coconut milk. So here's some recipes at top left right there. That is my favorite, my chocolate avocado pudding. Top right is our gut healing protein pudding. Bottom right is our lemon coconut pudding. And bottom left there, that's actually homemade keto protein bars that you could try as well, that are high good fat, moderate protein, low carb, that tastes great. So you can do something simple and easy like this for lunch. And then for dinner, you have your meat, vegetables, right? So wild caught salmon cooked in coconut oil. You pour the coconut oil on top. You want to make sure you have a lot of fat. So if you have your vegetables, you smear them in grass-fed butter. You put lemon or apple cider vinegar or herbs all over your meat and your vegetables to help pre-metabolize them, lower the glycemic impact. And on top of that, it tastes good too, like lemon pepper chicken, or if you ever try apple cider vinegar on your meat, actually brings out more flavor in it. So it's really good that way. You could also see here taco lettuce wraps with grass-fed ground beef, or you could do coconut flour wraps as well. Those are great. Guacamole, onions. If you do pico de gallo, very, very small amount of tomato. And then you can either use a grass-fed organic sour cream, which is great. And if you can't do dairy, you can do coconut milk, full fat coconut milk keeper. Kind of tastes like a sour cream, and it's loaded with good fats, probiotics in there. Really great approach. Or option 3, chicken breast, grilled in coconut oil with steamed broccoli, cauliflower, smother everything in grass-fed butter, fresh squeezed lemon, Italian herbs over everything. Tastes awesome and really going to support your blood sugar and support your body's ability to create ketones, that alternative fuel source. So basically, how do we create a program where we can actually drop 20 pounds in 30 days? This is one of my patients, Paul, and he's sort of following this sort of approach and dropped 24 pounds in 30 days on his way to losing over 100 pounds in less than a year. And you can see this is his old pants right here, back when he was about 300 pounds. And at the time we took this picture, he was 185, right? So tremendous weight loss. This is what he did, right? Followed our keto program, no sugar, starch, grains, and that intermittent fasting, drinking, one of those drinks like a fat burning coffee or green tea in the mornings, hydrated really well throughout the day using apple cider vinegar, lemons and limes, drank, a minimum half his body weight in ounces. And I will typically recommend a lot more than that, staying super hydrated, did some high intensity training, right? Didn't do a lot of training, 10 to 30 minutes of high intensity training, 3 to 6 days a week. So, I'll tell people, hey, do 2 upper body, 2 lower body strength training days, Monday and Thursday, upper body, Tuesday and Friday, lower body, right? Have your workouts between 10 and 30 minutes, right? And just go all out during that workout. So upper body, you're doing a push, then a pull exercise. So you do push exercise, like maybe a push up. And then right after that, you do like a bent over row, the exact opposite muscle group you're doing right afterwards. So you're working opposite muscle groups and you're going without any rest between sets, just really high intensity. And you're going typically for lower reps if you're lifting weights. But if you're doing body weight, obviously you're trying to burn yourself out. Same thing with legs. You're doing large muscle groups like squats, deadlifts, and lunges and things like that. And so if you're new to training, it's a really good idea to work with a trainer, but I really try to do high intensity interval type training, strength training, so resistance training with very short rest, and then really prioritize sleep, because sleep is so critical for blood sugar stability and hormone balance. And particularly the time between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. is when we secrete the most growth hormone. And growth hormone is a fat burning anti-aging hormone. So we want to be able to secrete more of that. So be in bed for sure before 11, ideally by 10 p.m. so you can secrete more growth hormone and burn fat more effectively. 8 hours of sleep between, let's say, 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. is always going to be more refreshing and fat burning than 8 hours between 12 p.m. or I should say 12 a.m. between midnight and 8 a.m. So, every hour before midnight is equivalent to 3 hours of regenerative sleep after. So really, really focus on good sleep and eliminate nerve stress. Really focus on your posture. If you're bent over looking at your laptop all day, you're cutting off, you're short cycling, you're breathing, you're going to create more stress response in your body. I definitely would recommend working with a chiropractor to help balance out your spine and your nervous system. That oftentimes can be a really, really, a common thing that people overlook, and they've got problems with their spine affecting their nervous system, creating a chronic stress response in their body, and that's not allowing them to lose weight. So if you do these things, you will see the weight come off, and you may even, if you want, if this is something you desire and that your body actually needs to do to be healthy, can drop even up to 20 pounds in 30 days following that. So with that being said, if you want more help, we do have an online program to help with meal planning and following the ketogenic diet. And this whole program is called Navigating the Ketogenic Diet course. It's designed to help you burn fat, build lean body tissue, improve your brain function, stabilize your blood sugar, reduce inflammation and pain, and reduce your risk of chronic disease. So you can check that out at drjockers.com on our website. Hope you guys enjoyed today's training, and we will see you on a future online training. God bless you guys.